My name is Portia. I am from Houston, born and reared here. I am married to my wonderful husband of 17 years, and we have 4 children. I first noticed that I had OCD probably when I was about 12 or 13. I was comfortable with kind of being labeled neurotic by people who knew me, who didn't understand why I did the things that I did. But it grew over time, and I found by young adulthood, and especially around the time that I started having children, that it just blew up. And so I was dealing regularly with contamination fears. The compulsions involved lots of checking, lots of washing. And it got to the point where it was not uncommon for me to get stuck doing those activities for hours. You know, at the end of the day, I'd look at my log and I'd have gotten an hour or 2 of work done over like a 12-hour block. And much more of it was spent in the shower. As a result, there'd be nights I would get a couple hours of sleep. There were nights that I didn't go to sleep. There was a night or 2 I slept in the shower. I mean, it got that bad. And then I'd wake up and do it the next morning. The impacts that this disorder was having on my family, that was the hardest part. You know, my husband is my best friend, and just the tension from the exhaustion, from the compulsions, and just trying to get through the day, it got to the point where I'm, you know, picking fights with him because I'm so miserable. And I'm ignoring my kids, who I love tremendously, because I don't have the energy to do much of anything besides being stuck in these compulsions, and that just wasn't okay. I wasn't willing to continue like that, wasn't willing to go on, and was willing to do whatever it took to break out of that, because I was just wasting so much time that I'll never get back. So when I applied for the Bergen 4-day program here in Houston, they wanted me to make sure I wasn't limiting myself for settling for just good enough, kind of a sky's the limit sort of a thing. And I thought, okay, well that seems really too good to be true, but why not? I mean, what have I got to lose at this point? Most recently, I started to get really just frightened by fear of contamination that I could be exposed to outdoors. And I became really frightened of all the different diseases that you can get from animals. And I found myself avoiding going outside. But it made my world really small. So we did the opposite. We would go and kind of walk by and touch plants and lay down in high grass. And I climbed a tree for the first time in like, I don't know, 20 years or something like that. So one of the places that we went is we went to the Wall Street Bat Bridge. They encouraged me to, you know, do something that would be really uncomfortable, and for me it was sitting underneath the where, you know, all the crevices where the bats are. When you walk down there, you can hear them and you can smell them. I was certain at that point that we'd gone too far. I thought, well, this is really ironic. This is going to be the way that I die. I am going to die, you know, trying to get rid of my OCD. So one of the things we did was they flipped on some Red Hot Chili Peppers, and we played Under the Bridge. And they were singing it to me. And I'm sitting there like crying, and there's people walking by while they're just singing along to Red Hot Chili Peppers. It was the most ridiculous thing ever, but it is hilarious, and I think of that every time now that I hear that song. So when you're out there doing these exposures, you're all of the terrifying sensations, the fears, that terrible feeling in the pit of your stomach, it's there. It doesn't magically disappear, but it's there. You feel it, you acknowledge it, and then you laugh and you move on. I think that really was just kind of the shock to my system. Doing that for 2 days so intensely just really shook things up, and it just flipped a switch in my brain. Life since the 4-day has been different in a really, really good way. And so when I came back to my day-to-day life, my routines, those things that are so ingrained, I found that it was very easy to slip back into the compulsions. Once I realized that, you know, the reason that they said that this is a work, that you have to it's a practice. You have to do it, you have to live it, you have to keep up with it. It really clicked and it made sense. I do have so much more time now, so much more energy, because I'm not having to use all that time and energy on compulsions and avoiding things. I'm able to be more present with my family. I got to pick back up a kind of a special activity that I enjoyed sharing with my husband, which was going to music festivals. So a few weeks ago we got to do, went to Chicago and we did Lollapalooza there, a music festival. And it's 2 days outdoors, something that would have been a dream. I mean, there's just no way we would have been able to do that. And I get to do this again. I feel very confident that I am going to continue the upwards trajectory, moving in the right direction. It's still a lot of work, but I have what I need to get to where I'm going, and I know that I don't have to live that way. I don't have to settle for living that way. I have the freedom to move on and get to where I need to be. I've been freed.